about public input, and I'll just run you through the 3 bits of public input that we are not having. So we had Michael Fleck and Dr. Susan Pocket, who wanted to talk to us regarding the safety of radio frequency radiation. So this is to do with the 5G rollout. We've put that off because we're doing some work with central government to work out what the approach from central government is to the 5G rollout, and we'll touch on that very briefly when we come to item 12. Catherine Farmer requested her input on the Marganav Reserve land exchange as a private person, not as a member of her local board, but Catherine had actually been a submitter to the process, and it's not appropriate to be a submitter and then come and speak again. And Wendy Gray asked to speak about the Green Corridor. Wendy and I are going to have a meeting, and we're going to talk the issues through because they're probably much wider than just the 10 minutes of public input can provide for. So very keen to follow that up, and then as needed, Wendy can come and address us. So hopefully that makes sense. So we'll move on to our 3 presentations that we are going to have in public input, and I'd like to welcome Genevieve Maria Ford, I think. Oh, she's here, who's going to talk to us about, I think, climate change and recycling and waste. So warm welcome, and the next 5 minutes are yours to present, and then there'll be questions. So please just take any seat that works for you. And on the speaker in front of you is a little button that says talk, and that's the one you press. If the light goes on, you're good to go. Welcome.
I think I'm loud enough. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're away now.
Thank you. I'm away now. Oh, where am I going? Hi, everyone. Kia ora. My name, first of all, thank you, Penny Holz. Excuse me, I'll just my word. Our chairperson of the committee, for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate that. My name is Genevieve Ford. I live in Manly and on the Whangaparaoa Peninsula. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge the tangata whenua, the people of Aotearoa, the land of Aotearoa. And also, the particular iwi or tribe of this area where we are meeting in Aotearoa. So, I also acknowledge our Pacific sisters and brothers whose islands are under threat because of the continued inaction on climate change by developed countries like Aotearoa and Australia. I also acknowledge all the people, particularly in South and Central America, who have given their lives protecting the forest from destruction and the land from destructive projects. My speech is called Our House is Burning. That's Greta Thunberg, of course. Her description of the earth as it is at the moment because of climate change. Before I get to the issue of climate change, I want to say that I'm very disappointed with the Auckland Council's decision to allow more concrete in the Waitemata Harbour. I believe there is a court challenge to this anti-environmental decision. I hope it succeeds, nothing personal. I also want to ask the Council and the Environment Committee to get rid of the millions of plastic bags that are being used to collect rubbish in the Auckland region every week and replace them with recycled paper bags now available in supermarkets, and preferably provide permanent rubbish bins to everyone, free of charge. A plastic bag takes 10 to 100 years to break down in a landfill, which also emits methane. The landfill, not the plastic bag. A paper bag takes 4 to 6 weeks. Environmentally speaking, it's a no-brainer. I've got 4 pages. I'm going to page 2 now, so you know where I am if you want to stop me. My main concern and reason for...
There's no... You're fine. Don't
okay.
just...
Thank you.
Take time to have a sip of water and have a deep breath and...
I'm fine, I'm just not used to...
Sure.
My main concern and reason for being here is climate change, the existential threat we all face. Politicians have a huge responsibility to deal with this existential crisis humanity now faces. I hope the urgency of the problem and the ecological breakdown of our planet is recognised by the members of this committee and all council members. Time is of the essence. I'll just repeat that last bit. Time is of the essence. The UN-appointed group of 91 climate scientists from 40 countries told us last October that if we are to save the planet from climate disaster, we need to reduce our global warming gas emissions by 45% in 11 years to zero by 2050. So that's 45% in 12 years from last October. That means we have now 11 years and 7.5 months to get to 45% reduction in our global warming emissions. The report said reaching these targets would require far-reaching and unprecedented changes to all aspects of society and transitions in land use, energy, industry, buildings, transport and cities. The co-chair of one of the 3 working groups of scientists, Deborah Roberts, said, "The next few years are probably the most important in our history." I think she meant the history of humanity. The cause of our problem is A, corporate greed, in particular corporations dealing in fossil fuels, industrial farming, such as Fonterra here in Aotearoa, and the destruction of forests. And B, governments continuing to subsidise and protect these planet-wrecking corporations, such as is still happening in Aotearoa, despite the huge greenwash coming out of our current government, which is also permitting and encouraging more oil, gas and coal extraction, and has started importing coal from Indonesia for the Huntly coal and gas burning station for our electricity instead of investing in clean energy, solar panels and wind. So our global warming emissions are going up, not down. Page 3. The gap between political rhetoric and action all over the planet as here is large, and our planet is dying. So I hope the Auckland committees, the Auckland Council committees, the Auckland councillors, will be different and put out an honest climate report, as I believe you're going to do, a report anyway, containing bold, practical steps to reduce Auckland's emissions according to the climate report of last October. First thing, declare a climate emergency, call a spade, help people understand the seriousness of the problem we face. The second thing is to get rid of any investments or subsidies you might have in industries harmful to the planet. Fossil fuels and Fonterra, big dairy, is as much a threat to the climate as big oil, until they, Fonterra, for example, start behaving like responsible global citizens and reduce the cow numbers by 4% a year to get to the 45% needed for 2030, not 1%. And also to stop more dairy expansions and harmful fertilisers that are poisoning our land and our rivers, as well as emitting global warming gases far more potent than CO2 in the short term, and the short term is the time that we have to act. The next 10 years are absolutely crucial. The third thing is forget about the Paris Agreement, not to be rude, but it's too vague. Zero 2050 emissions and all that. Focus on the things we can do now to get Auckland to 45% reduction in greenhouse gases by October 2030, with help from your scientific advisors about how to do that. That means focus on the next 3 years that you are in office if you are voted back in October. No pies in the sky. In Auckland, the main problem to deal with, as well as buildings, waste and industrial pollution, is the traffic. 17% of our emissions, that's nationally, 17% of our emissions. Private cars are destroying the planet. They need to be marginalised much more. Page 4. Public transport needs to be electric as soon as possible, and I hope the government moves to stop the import of fossil fuel vehicles from 2022 or even sooner. Priority on roads has to be given to public transport, no interruption to bus lanes as now. Much more room for cyclists. It's not safe for cyclists in parts of Auckland, and pedestrians need to be respected as well. Give us time to cross the road in safety, for goodness sake. Rail infrastructure is a priority. I hope that the line from the city to the airport is finished in 5 years, not 10. I hope the cycle path over the Auckland Harbour Bridge is built quickly. I don't know what the delays are there. And a train over the harbour is also a priority. And also, inner cities, I think, should have no cars altogether and become green. Allow the land to regenerate naturally everywhere, plant trees, protect nature wherever you can. Allow space for community gardens all over the place. The transformative possibilities of climate change presents to us are very healthy and creative. and it will help us to live in tune with the earth instead of trying to bully it into submission, as the Irish gardener, she would say, guardian of the land, Mary Reynolds, says we're trying to do, and in the process destroying our habitat. This is our chance to reconnect with the earth and become more peaceful, responsible global citizens. We need politicians who are up to the challenge, not afraid to change things, and create the global leadership people are hoping for before it is too late. Thank you for listening.
Genevieve, thank you very much.
Okay.
So I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions, but just a couple of really brief responses. With regard to the rubbish collection, we're currently in the process of procuring our 3-bin model for the region, and you're still under what was the old Rodney collection, which is the only area in Auckland that has an independent rubbish collection.
Oh, really?
And they have the bags. So in other areas we have the bins, and we're going to be rolling the bins out throughout the whole region. So
I lived in South Auckland.
Sure.
Bags. I lived in Browns Bay. Bags. I came here. So I thought. And
that's one thing that hopefully will give you a little bit of hope, and that's a procurement that has sustainability at its heart.
But can I just say, before we get to that, I don't know how far away that is. Why can't we have paper bags and not plastic ones?
And because it's a private contractor who provides refuse collection to Rodney,
Yes,
council we have no ability to interfere, but that's what the new procurement will bring about. Secondly, we've got our climate change action plan comes to next month's committee meeting, so you're really welcome to attend, and it would be really good to have you there. And thirdly, and this council is very active in the New Zealand-wide response to climate change and climate change planning, and the Mayor has certainly been right at the heart of that work. So time for 2 quick questions. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. Look, Maria, thank you very much for both a passionate and genuine presentation to Council. That's very appreciative. Look, you raised so many issues. This is probably difficult for me to ask you a question. So I'm going to suggest that you sit down with your 2 councillors and go through your issues, because they will be able to answer a number of the questions that you have posed. Rather than use this forum for that. So they're sitting around the table here, and I suggest that they quickly have a bit of a chat and swap phone numbers and be in touch. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Watson, one of your councillors.
Hi, Genevieve. Thank you for coming all the way down from Whangaparāoa Peninsula to give an excellent delivery today. And it's very appropriate, because I was listening to I think it's the new Secretary General of the United Nations, who basically was mirroring that sense of urgency that you have articulated so well today. I just want to get your feedback on his view. Was really that the future lay with the young people mobilising their political power, because they are the ones who, of course, will live with the consequences.
We're living with them now.
Yes. Do you have any view on the desirability or the ability to try and mobilise the young generation to bring that sense of urgency?
I think they're doing it themselves. I don't think they need my help, really. I just want to say, look, I'm a person, I'm upset about this, and I'm going to say something. That's basically it.
Good on you.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
So I just want to assure you that there are certainly some councillors around this table that are passionate. So I funded myself at my cost to the Paris Climate Talks in 2015, also went earlier to Rio and other climate talks. So I live and breathe that issue. So I'm just emphasising that there are some people around the table that are equally passionate.
That's right.
And you're commended. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's the actions that count. Okay. Thank you.
So Councillor Walker and Councillor Watson, would you like to move and second happy to move? Councillor Walker, second. Councillor Watson, the thanks and appreciation to Genevieve for her presentation, and happy to keep in touch and happy to provide any information that is useful to you. So I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. And thank you very much.